I don't know. We're not even doing an intro. I usually have an intro for my videos. No intro needed for this situation. I literally recorded 2 trade videos today. I ended my night. I went in the front room, turned on the TV, and my phone goes off. Kevin Durant has just been, like, literally has just been traded to the Phoenix Suns out of nowhere, out of completely thin air. Kevin Durant is now a Phoenix Sun, and bear with me because the details are still unraveling. The Nets are receiving Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Jay Crowder, plus 4 first-round picks and a pick swap for Kevin Durant and TJ Warren. First, before we dive into this completely, I haven't even gathered my thoughts. I'm still in shock. My girlfriend is asleep. She got work tomorrow. I'm trying not to make too much noise because I'm so excited and so just, I don't even know. But, okay. The first thing I'm going to say is this trade deadline is back home. This is the back home deadline. Dwayne Dedmon is back with the Spurs. Jakob Poeltl is back with the Raptors. Spencer Dinwiddie is back with Brooklyn. And who else? D'Lo is back with the Lakers. Everybody's just returning to former teams or whatnot. But anyway, let me stay focused on. I know what we got at hand right here. The Brooklyn Nets are going down as one of the worst franchises in the history of basketball. Like, this era is going to literally go down in history. Not only did the 3 stars that you once had on the same team at one time, not only did they all back to back request trades, they all got traded. And this package, I don't know if it's because it's midnight right now and I'm in over my head and I'm just reacting and just going off of the moment. This package looks terrible for Kevin Durant. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and 4 first-round picks and a pick swap. The Phoenix Suns finesse. And on top of that, they bring back TJ Warren. A bench piece. You have Kevin Durant. On paper right now, we're looking at a team that's going to have what? Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, TJ Warren, Dario Saric, Cam Payne. This team is officially shaking up the West. This is the deadline move that won't be topped. I thought the Kyrie Irving was going to be the highlight of the deadline. This shakes up the entire league. You got Devin Booker just returned from injury. You had Kevin Durant, who's going to return from injury probably right after All-Star break. You still have DeAndre Ayton, who the last couple games we've seen has played tremendously well. And hopefully, maybe they have one more move in their back pocket that can get them something to fill the void of the 4. If not, you roll out there with TJ Warren, Torrey Craig, or something like that, and you just thug it out. But this trade, man, this trade shakes up the league. But when I look back at the Rudy Gobert type trades, and I see the package that the Utah Jazz got, when they got Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, all of the 4 picks and 2 swaps, basically 6 first-round picks. And then we see going into this season, they have now flipped Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley into another additional pick, which is now like 7 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. And now you look at the Brooklyn Nets, who only got 4 and a pick swap for a player that's a higher magnitude of a player. This is an MVP caliber player year in and year out. One of the greatest, if not the greatest scorer we've ever seen from how he scores. We understand LeBron James just broke the record, but Kevin Durant comes in and automatically makes the Suns the favorite to win the West. A Western Conference that was wide open. You got the young Memphis Grizzlies, who are young and hungry and full of swagger, led by a young Ja Morant, number 2 in the standings. You got a Denver Nuggets team who's been really, really good this season, but they still haven't done anything in the Western Conference that puts fear in people's heart. And then you go out and the Suns make a move like this. To me, on paper, they are the favorites to come out of the Western Conference. They are the favorites. I think this puts pressure on teams like the Clippers, the Grizzlies, a team like the Pelicans, even the Mavericks, who just made a move. This puts pressure on all of those teams to go out and make another move. You got a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, who 4 hours ago made a move and felt more confident in themselves to be a better basketball team. I can only imagine what LeBron James is thinking right now. LeBron James probably is like, WTF. On a day where we make a move, we take Russell Westbrook, one of our first round draft picks, and we bring back 3 rotational players and a point guard who seems to be a better fit on paper. And we look to ourselves and say, oh, we got a lot better. And you turn around 3 to 4 hours later, and the Suns make a move like this. The Suns make a power move like this. New ownership. This is a way to start a new era of ownership for the Phoenix Suns right now. And the league is on fire. My Twitter is blowing up right now. My phone won't stop going off. The league has officially been shaken up. For the Nets and their perspective, again, this has to be one of the biggest downfalls or biggest spirals in the history of the NBA. And I think they have an interesting team, a bunch of different pieces, something to work with there for sure. But the attention is going to be on the fact that you just had Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden on one basketball team with Steve Nash as the head coach. And only thing that came out of it was a 1-round win and 3 trade requests, and you traded those 3 guys. You're now going to be known as a team who traded Kevin Durant with 3 or 4 years left on his contract. You traded James Harden in exchange for Ben Simmons, who we haven't seen the Ben Simmons that we saw in Philadelphia at all with Brooklyn. That looks like the biggest L of a trade we've seen in a while. It's been rumored that Ben Simmons has no value around the league, and not only does he not have any value to be moved, but he's probably kind of the reason they didn't really get much here. The Phoenix Suns maybe would have said, hey, you guys can have DeAndre Ayton, we'll keep Mikal. But because Ben Simmons is on a max rookie extension, you can't bring on another max rookie extension player. He blocks a lot of the trade situation. Like if Bam wanted to come over to the net, like if the Heat said, hey, we give you Bam Adebayo, unless they would have took Ben Simmons too, Ben Simmons being on a roster says, hey, Bam can't, it doesn't allow Bam to be on a roster either. And I believe that's the rule. The rookie max extension. You cannot have 2 of those players on the same roster unless they were probably already on the roster. But if you have, you can't go trade for something like that. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. It's midnight. I just got out of my comfort zone. I was laying on my couch watching The Wire, thinking I'm winding down, and I had to get up, return on the studio, and get things popping. But that in itself is the biggest L. Now, from a roster construction, we're going to pivot and just look at the roster for a second and not about the circumstance on how we got here. Because a lot of the conversation and a lot of the heat the Nets are going to get is, look at you traded 3 future Hall of Famers in a year. In a year span, you traded 3 future Hall of Famers, and you traded Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did get traded in a sign-and trade, but at least that was a sign-and trade. You cut him some slack because it's a sign-and trade. This is a whole different scenario. But on paper now, the Nets have Spencer Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Nicholas Claxton, Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Jay Crowder. You got the 4 first-round picks from the Suns. You got a first-round pick from the Mavericks. Dorian Finney-Smith is on this roster. Am I forgetting anybody? Yuta Watanabe. They maybe can start to open up their team to being a trade deadline team for other contending teams. I don't know how they're going to play it. I want to look up the roster for 1 second. They have some veteran pieces that other teams around the league that are in the playoff hunt or in the playoff race may want. Like Seth Curry may have some value for other contending teams around the league. He's a 3-point specialist. Everybody's looking for shooting right now. I don't know if this opens up the floodgates for them to start to make these guys available, and they probably try to get assets on top of assets now, if I were one to think. Seth Curry, Joe Harris has always been rumored over the last year or so to be in trade situations or conversations. You still have Spencer Dinwiddie, who I believe can be moved again. There was rumors that he would be flipped to Toronto in some type of deal to get a Fred VanVleet or something like that. You still have Royce O'Neal. Maybe you see if there's any way to get rid of Ben Simmons. I have no idea what the pivot is, but the projected lineup is what? Spencer Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas, Mikal, Dorian Finney-Smith, Ben Simmons. Like I don't know. They have a bunch of interesting pieces, and we just got more news. We have more news. I apologize. This isn't my most crisp video because we all going off the real time. This is all in real time right now. But something that helps this trade a little bit more better for the Nets, all 4 first-round picks are unprotected. There's no protections. And these picks are in 2023, which is this year. The Suns will be good. They won't miss that pick. 2025, 2027, and 2029. So, boom. This softens up the trade a little bit. It's still going to sting, and it's still going to be a very huge topic for years to come that you fumbled the bag in a situation when you had 3 Hall of Famers on one team at once and only won one playoff series, and eventually traded all of them in the span of a year after they all requested a trade. That's going to be a topic for a very long time for the Brooklyn Nets, their organization. That's going to be something that's attached to Sean Marks' name. For a very long time, they're going to have that cloud over the organization. But 4 first-round picks unprotected, and one is all the way in 2029, the other is in 2027. We have no idea what the Suns will look like. The Suns are probably hoping, hey, we'll have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. We should be a formidable team. We should be all right. At the least, we should still be a playoff type of team. There's no way to predict what the NBA is going to look like 6 years from now, or hell, even 4 years from now in 2027. But I guess the Phoenix Suns are saying, hey, if we can find a way to win a championship with this group, it'll be worth it. Nobody will care about that pick in 2027 because we'll have a championship to show for it. But this makes this trade better. It makes it better for the Nets. It makes me more accepting and understanding on why they only got the four first round picks in a swap, because that was going to be a big thing for me. There's no way that Rudy Gobert commanded more draft capital than Kevin Durant. There's no way. There's no way. I like this trade package a lot more now that the picks are unprotected. I will say I am a guy who believes that a lot of these teams get caught up too much in these picks, because when you talk about a guy like, Kevin Durant, I want somebody who's like an all-star player. I want a young player that's all-star or all-star worthy. And I know some people may feel indifferent. It's just my opinion. I'm not sure if Mikal Bridges is an all-star player. I think he's a high-level role player, complimentary player to the star in the all-star, but he's not an all-star level player, in my opinion. I haven't seen that version of him at all. He's a superior, top-of-the-line, complimentary 3-and-D role player who is going to be the best role player for your star and co-star. But, man, it's tough to not get back a guy that you can build around when you're trading a talent like Kevin Durant, especially when you just also traded Kevin Durant. That's tough. You look at the Thunder trade with Paul George and the Clippers, they were able to at least get back Shea. They got Shea and a bunch of draft capital. They got Shea, Gallinari, and draft capital that they're still sitting on, and now Shea is the face of that franchise over there. So those are the type of trades that I think about when you see a player of this magnitude be dealt. You know what I mean? When we talked about the Celtics getting involved in this trade, it was Jaylen Brown that the Nets were entertaining. And that's the type of player that you expect to get back, not a supporting cast player. And again, no knock on Mikal Bridges. He's a very good basketball player, the type of player that you need when you have that face of the franchise or the star or whatnot. But in a return for Kevin Durant, in a perfect world, you would love to have a staple with those picks. Whew. Even in the Cavaliers, the Jazz trade, Rudy is gone, but Walker Kessler came back and filled the void. Very nice. Very nice. You look at the Donovan Mitchell trade with the Cavaliers, Lauri Markkanen is an all-star. Though that's what you want. The Jazz now can look at Lauri like, hey, he may not be the face like Shea, but he's gonna be the co-guy to the face. And unless I'm not prepared for the step Mikal Bridges is about to take or make, this is spicy. The only thing that can top this is if tomorrow Damian Lillard requests a trade out of nowhere. Like, that's the only thing that can say it is. But this is interesting. I'm definitely giving the Nets the Phoenix Suns an A+, just because they did it quietly and they striked. There was no leaked information. There was no signs of anything like this happening. They waited for everybody to get in bed. Everything was tight-lipped, and they executed. They didn't allow other teams to get involved. There was nothing to go back and forth about. They saw a chance. They took advantage. They executed, and they landed their guy. And now the Phoenix Suns are back as a favorite to come out of the Western Conference right now. Before we've even seen them play as a product, the Phoenix Suns are our favorite. This takes a lot less of a load off of Chris Paul. We don't need vintage Chris Paul. We don't need vintage Chris Paul at all. You let Devin Booker, Ayton, and Kevin Durant do what they do. You be a floor general and a leader and a presence in that locker room to keep that unit organized and to play good basketball, especially in the playoffs when the tempo slow down a little bit. And you just cruise. You cruise this out. And Devin Booker, KD is going to take you there. And you have a big and Ayton. I cannot wait to see what they do to fill that four of the power forward void, man. I can't wait to see if there's another move to be made. I can't wait to see. And before we leave, and before I close out this video, the standings right now, the Suns are the 5th seed. The Suns went down. The Suns went down when they lost Devin Booker. They fell all the way out of the picture. They couldn't win a game. And now, before you know, in the blink of an eye, they're 7-2 in their division. They're 22-13 in the conference. They're 8.5 games back out of the first spot. And they're tied with the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks have the tiebreaker, I guess, so they're 4th right now. But the Suns are not that far away from home court advantage. They're 2 games behind the Kings for the 3rd seed. And they're 4 games behind the Grizzlies. With a move like this, they can start rolling very quickly in the second half of the season, and they can jump up as high as 2 or 3. And now we're talking about a situation where they're comfortably in the playoffs, and they're going to be matched up against a Timberwolves, a young Pelicans team again, a Warriors team. That would be interesting. Warriors versus KD. Damn, this shakes up the league. And the Lakers down there at 13, thinking they made the move to move up. The Mavericks go out and make a move, who are right there with the Suns. Could we see a situation where the Suns and the Mavericks are a 4-5 matchup? Kyrie versus KD in the first round. There's already tension and beef. That's another thing. KD and Kyrie go to 2 teams that have a little bit of a beef in history because of the playoffs last year. So that's another interesting fold to the scenario. I'm very excited to see how this works out. I'm very excited to see which one of these teams now go out and make a move. We may have a very explosive trade deadline tomorrow now that the Kyrie and KD domino has failed. We also have the Russell Westbrook domino that fell. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, Jakob Poeltl was dealt to the Raptors, so I don't even know what to think of the Raptors. Did the Raptors go and make that move to try to turn their season around and give them somebody that can fill the paint? Because, of course, the missing position was a center position for them. So now they have Fred, Gary, OG, Scotty, Pascal, and Jakob Poeltl. Do they feel like they can now turn their season around because they have a true, legitimate big, and now Christian Koloko can come off the bench and be a backup center as a rookie instead of a full-time starting rookie center? Because the Raptors are 10th right now out east, which is in the play-in. They're only not even a game above the Wizards. They're a game below the Bulls. They're a game and a half away from the Hawks. And then it becomes a little bit of a distance with the 7th seed. The Knicks are about 4 games above the Raptors comfortably at that 7th spot. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think that Kevin Durant domino, the Russell Westbrook domino, and the Kyrie domino can now open up the floodgates, because a lot of these teams, especially out west, have to make another move in order to compete. It's about to be a war in the Western Conference. The Eastern Conference is stacking up nice as well. The Nets right now 32-22, 5th seed out east. They have a comfortable lead over the Heat and the Knicks. It's going to be interesting to see if the Nets can keep their position in the playoffs with this young scrambled type team. Cam Thomas heroics, will that continue? Does Mikal Bridges take a step that we've never seen or thought before? But they have a 3.5 game or 2.5 game lead over the Miami Heat, and they have a 3-game lead over the New York Knicks. So they're pretty comfortable right now in the playoff picture. Even if they dropped, they would still at the least be in the play-in. So it's interesting to see how the Nets going to finish the season. And the All-Star weekend next week, when we leave and go out to Salt Lake City, it is going to be very interesting. Kevin Durant is now a Western Conference player. Kyrie Irving is a Western Conference player. Those are 2 Eastern Conference starters. Definitely don't know what that means for the All-Star game. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Stay locked. Turn that notification bell on, because I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be a very explosive trade deadline. A lot of teams are desperate now, and a lot of teams are going to be pressing to make a move. And I know there's a lot of teams right now disappointed that they didn't realize Kevin Durant was as gettable. Like, the Miami Heat got to be kicking themselves. The Miami Heat are probably like, bro, we would have did Tyler Hero. We would have threw in the same amount of picks, and we would have threw in something else. You know what I mean? I know the Heat wish they would have known about this. Who else? My Knicks should have gotten the Bulls would have probably gave Zach LaVine or something up. Who else out here? The Grizzlies would have loved to get into the KD sweeps. Imagine the Grizzlies with Kevin Durant. You give up what, Desmond Bane? Or were the Grizzlies saying they wouldn't give up Desmond Bane? Who knows? But I know a lot of these teams are probably pissed that they didn't know about the KD sweepstakes. The Trailblazers at the 10th seed, they would love to add a KD right now. They would love to have a KD. But this is NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug. I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to have a jam-packed trade deadline day. Strap in, get prepared. Let me know what y'all think about this monstrous move. I know it's late right now. Hopefully people are still up and ready to watch. As always, I'll see y'all later, though. I'm out. Peace.